Hello, thank you for joining us today with our instructional video on how to program the Intuicom RTK Bridge M with Verizon. Once you've received the RTK Bridge M, have plugged it in and powered it up, go ahead and connect it to your computer using the programming cable, and then start our configuration utility, RTK Bridge Pro. The first step then will be to select the COM port you'll be using. In this case we're using COM1. Then click Connect. This will connect the software to the RTK Bridge. When it first powers up, you'll get some information here in the live status that we'll cover here in a few minutes. Your first step should be to go to Config mode. That's going to pull all of the configuration settings out of the RTK Bridge. Down here in the bottom half of the window will be all of our settings. The first step to activating a new RTK Bridge is to go to the Connections tab. From here we'll click the Modem Status button, and that will pull up some information about the internals of the RTK Bridge. This ESN number is required when you call Verizon to activate your service. Once you've called Verizon and started your service with this ESN number, they'll let you know once that's been started. Usually takes between a half an hour to an hour to start your service. Once it has been activated, you'll come back in again, click Modem Status, and you'll click Activate Modem. It'll ask you if you really want to do that, and you want to make sure that you don't power off the modem during activation. This process takes 3 minutes while the RTK Bridge contacts Verizon and gets the activation information. Okay, just got a few more seconds here. And once this process is done, the RTK Bridge should be activated if we had a good connection to the Verizon tower. We'll hit OK, and now it's time to go program the settings into the RTK Bridge. The next step will be to go to the Profile tab. This is where we're going to put in the information about the network that we're connecting to obtain our RTK correction. The settings we're going to configure here are the connection mode. This is what type of server we're connecting to. The most common, Ntrip 1.0. We can also connect to a raw TCP port, an IBSS server, or Ntrip 2.0. We'll leave it at Ntrip 1.0 for now. The server host name is the IP address or host name for the network that you're connecting to. The server port is the port number that you're connecting to at that network. The mount point name is case sensitive and refers to the correction type and is dependent upon your network. This has to be put in exactly as it is provided or it will not work correctly. Authentication is our username and password, which are also from the network. These are also case sensitive. If you ever forget any of these or need a refresher, you can hover over the boxes and a little pop-up will explain to you what the different parameters are. Down here under the P2 baud rate refers to the speed that the RTK Bridge data port will be communicating with your GPS receiver. The default is 38,400, which is the most commonly used, but it can be changed if required by your receiver. Over here under positioning, we have several different options. Internal real-time uses the RTK Bridge internal GPS to send a GGA position to the network to obtain your correction. For static, you can put in a static latitude and longitude, and that will report that NEMA position to the network. The P2 port can be used if your GPS receiver can be configured to output a NEMA string to the RTK Bridge, and then the RTK Bridge will receive that on the data port and forward that on to the network. It's also possible to disable that if your network doesn't require a GGA string. We'll leave it at real time for now. The RTK Bridge has 4 available profiles. You can put in a different combination of host names, server ports, mount points, username, password, or positioning, depending on what you require for your network. This allows you to switch between two or more networks, have different mount points, whatever it is that you require. Profile 4 default includes the static GPS position, latitude and longitude, with Intuicom's RTK server. This is used for diagnostics, so you can make sure that the RTK bridge is able to connect to a network. You can connect it here, and that way you know that the RTK bridge is working. Up here we also have our active profile. This allows us to see what the active profile is when the RTK bridge first powers up, whether it selects 1, 2, 3, or 4. The profiles can be changed in the field by pressing the Profile Select button while the RTK bridge is powering up. The RTK bridge will cycle through the 4 available profiles. Once you've made your changes here, the RTK bridge is ready to be programmed. We'll go up here to Apply Config. This has to be clicked in order to send your settings to the RTK bridge. Once the software has applied those settings, we can go back in, and then we have a couple of more options here. We can click Document Config to create a text file of the settings that you can refer to at a later time. Under File, you can save configuration. This will actually create a saved file that you can load for later use, either to reprogram this RTK bridge or to program the same profile information into another RTK bridge. You can then go back under File and load that configuration. Once you've applied all the settings, you're ready to go back into normal operation mode. We'll go up and click Status Mode. This will put the RTK bridge into normal operation mode. As the RTK bridge boots up, we'll start to see some information here in the Live Status section about what's going on with the RTK bridge. We can correspond this to what's going on with the LEDs. The GPS setting here lets us know that we are internal and that the GPS is tracking. That corresponds to the GPS LED on the front of the RTK bridge. The modem signal refers to the signal strength that the RTK bridge is receiving from the first tower it links to, in this case a minus 88 dBm. The modem registration lets us know that we are connected with Verizon. The modem connection lets us know that we were able to get onto the internet. That corresponds to the MDM light. The server connection refers to connecting to your actual RTK server. That corresponds to the server LED. And finally, the TX data flow lets us know that we're receiving an RTK correction. As that light blinks, it corresponds to the received corrections from the network that are being supplied out the data port to your RTK receiver. This RTK bridge is now programmed and ready to be installed into your application. If you have any questions or need any assistance, please call Intuicom Technical Support at 303-449-4330. Thank you. Have a great day.